Have you been watching the insurrection committee testimony? I
A
honestly
little
don't
bit.
even know what we're even having a testimony about. I mean, there's video. What are we debating?
It's important to me to not debate, but have the clear record of all the text messages and the emails that went out ahead of time, so that people
Absolutely.
understand that a lot of this was coordinated. These motherfuckers, when we say it was a coup, we are not exaggerating.
Right.
These motherfuckers were planning on installing Trump, overturning the election and installing Trump as the president. That is a coup by means of violence. That is a fucking coup.
They were screaming, hang Mike Pence. How those people went home that night is beyond me. It seems like the society that I've seen, there's more outrage around Walmart's burning down than around what these people did. I mean, to scream that you're contemplating murdering the vice president, I'm not sure why that's not an immediate criminal charge. I'm pretty sure if I walked into the police station and said to the police officers, I want to kill Mike Pence, I think that they would have a response to that. And it wouldn't be, you get to go home while we decide who is a criminal and who's not. I'm saddened that the hero of the day is Liz Cheney, because while she's right on this, she's wrong about so many other things. So I'm having a hard time cheering for her. It's like cheering for how do you choose between Lucifer and like Beelzebub? I mean, I don't know. And I'm disappointed that the Republicans who have publicly made it clear that all of this behavior is unacceptable happen to be the Republicans that are not running for re-election for the most part. So I don't really know what to make of all this. I don't really know what we're investigating at this point. Police officers were attacked, injured,
killed.
This is supposed to be the Blue Lives Matter crowd.
Their fire hydrant.
This is supposed to be the law enforcement crowd. This is supposed to be Blue Lives Matter. I don't understand how law enforcement can justify this in their own minds. I don't know how the public who claims to support law enforcement can justify what they saw. There is way more outrage over damages that are done by Antifa and Black Lives Matter than this.
And that's the thing that bothers me, because they're saying, oh, well, they didn't burn down any buildings. Dude, they killed cops. They beat a cop to death.
They killed a cop and attacked the cops that are testifying. There's a lady testifying that she was like literally slipping in people's bloods. Like, these people attacked law enforcement in the Capitol building. They were bum rushed Nancy Pelosi's office and they took a shit on her floor.
And stole federal
When
property.
did this become appropriate for any reason at all?
And furthermore, and you say, oh, well, maybe during the summer of these 2020 protests, some people died there, right? But if that was like more than a month, that was like 2 months of protests. If we're talking about damage per capita or lives per hour, 5 people died as a result of the Capitol. You have the cops who died, and then you had people, there was a guy who had a heart attack, like 5 deaths happened that day. So 5 deaths over 4, maybe 5 hours of rioting versus, they say 25 people died from these summer 2020 protests, but that was over the course of 2 fucking months. 25 deaths, a handful of
no cops dying. I don't recall any cops being murdered
from the 2020 protests.
Yep, and they made those protesters sound like cannibals.
And here's the thing. Some of those protesters, especially the ones who attacked people, are either under investigation right now or in jail. Those people got arrested. They're in fucking jail. The people who planned and orchestrated 1/6 also belong in fucking jail. The people who killed
except they went home. They went home.
Yeah, they
went home and then had to go get arrested. How did they even get to go home that night? Yeah. I find the whole thing incredibly insulting. I think as an American, we should be insulted. I think as a sentient human being, we should be insulted by the lack of alarm around this. I think anyone who was involved in this should not only be removed from position, they should be charged with treason. And I think they should be charged with a criminal act. I think all the people involved with threatening Mike Pence, again, he's not my choice of vice president. Do I support him being murdered? No. We're supposed to differentiate ourselves from Saudi Arabia by not beheading and hanging people in the street. We're supposed to be the evolved society. And I'm not seeing any demonstration of evolution. And I find the whole thing just like deeply disappointing.
Yeah, 3 things. First and foremost, if the Republicans gain back control of Congress, they're going to do what they did with the Benghazi with the summer 2020 protests. They're going to try to make that a 5-year-long investigation and spend millions of dollars and waste a bunch of people's time.
Right.
2, we still don't know who the fuck left bombs at the DNC and RNC. These were not fake bombs. There were real bombs, real fucking pipe bombs left at the DNC headquarters and the RNC headquarters the day before. They have someone on videotape doing it that night, the night before 1/6, but they have no idea who the fuck it was. Okay. Yeah. 3, Jeannie fucking Thomas needs to be under fucking investigation. Clarence Thomas's
and her husband needs to be removed from the court. And I don't even understand how we have heard so little about this, but I know Amber Heard took a shit in Johnny Depp's bed. I've never seen such a displacement of priorities ever. That case should not have taken up nearly as much airtime as it did with all that's going on. And I don't think either one of them came out of looking good. Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, I think both came out looking like narcissistic assholes. I could care less. Neither one of them moved the needle on anything. She didn't do anything for domestic abuse. He didn't do anything for men. To me, this is a bunch of 2 rich assholes who just wanted to humiliate each other publicly. Meanwhile, we have a Supreme Court nominee whose wife was involved in breaking into the Capitol building. But what we'll never forget for the rest of our lives that allegedly Amber Heard took a shit in Johnny Depp's bed. What planet is this? What is wrong with us? What is wrong with this place? And we wonder why kids are losing their minds. They look at us and they're like, these adults are no fucking better. We got the nerve to tell them, don't kill, don't steal, don't lie. All they watch us do is kill, steal, lie, cheat, thief, this. And then we're mystified that kids bug out. Shocked, scratching our heads.
Back to Liz Cheney really quick. She's showing the bare minimum amount of patriotism that the founders, people on Mount Rushmore, the people who shaped the Constitution, she's showing the bare minimum amount of patriotism that they would have expected from every member of Congress. Frankly speaking, if we had a functional democracy, everyone who refused to certify the election results and everyone who's still claiming the election was stolen, if you serve in Congress, you should be expelled from Congress. We have expelled people. We expelled people in Congress in the run-up to the Civil War for being an insurrectionist, okay? Or during the Civil War for being an insurrectionist. What the fuck?
It's shameful.
Yeah, we're applauding her, but holy shit, she's the one fucking, her and Adam Kinzinger are the only
who's not up for re-election. He has resigned.
Yeah.
So, but basically people who have no dog left in this fight or who have taken themselves out of the fight are leading the torch on this, which means this attitude still permeates the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. And while I don't think every Republican characteristic or ideal is wrong, I think that their marketing is so disproportionately ugly that even if they have good points, I don't care anymore because they come across like such vile, immoral, unethical people. And at this point, the Democrats are also equally garbage because it's like you could hand the Democrats a win in their hands and they will somehow fumble that win. Why they're losing to such people of poor taste is remarkable. This should be a blowout. Look at how vile and disgusting these people are. Look how hypocritical they are. Look at how they demonstrate themselves. What has the Democrats done to make anybody think that we should be putting our faith in them? What could possibly they do that is either not bad enough for them to be taking as a worthy opponent to Republicans or not good enough that it's not enough of what the Republicans have done to switch parties and vote differently?
Well, they haven't done. I mean, we can get into Democrats' messaging issues at a later time because that's a whole nother thing when it comes down to like the midterms and everything. But what I will say is that they're at least the ones that are down to investigate January 6th. And they've passed a whole bunch of bills.
And what do you really think is going to come from that, Jay? You think they're going to line these people up and arrest them in their homes and send their asses to prison? Nobody's going to jail for this. Nobody. Nothing meaningful is going to come out of this. We thought something meaningful was going to come out of the Mueller report. And look what that turned out to be. Remember the Mueller report, this is going to be the loading gun. The guy came out and said, I think he did some bullshit. I'm not really sure if I could prove it. Everybody break for lunch.
No. Mueller did exactly what he was supposed to do. And there wasn't enough votes to actually remove him to impeach Trump, and they weren't going to charge him. But Mueller came out and said, if it weren't for this statute over here that says I cannot charge a sitting president with a crime, I would charge Trump with a crime. That is as blatant as it gets. So he laid it up so that Merrick Garland, who's continuing investigating Trump, can put Trump in jail. So it comes down.
Where's that investigation going? Nowhere fast. What happened to Giuliani? What happened to the mobsters that they caught him with?
Giuliani's under investigation right now. He's about to be disbarred. Several other people have been indicted.
How much investigating does an investigator need to do on this? I mean,
come back in 2024. I think they're sitting on this shit up until the 2024 election. That's when they're gonna. That's when the final indictments of like the actual people, because Giuliani's been indicted, I believe, already. But yes, if we're wondering when is Trump himself finally getting indicted, that is working its way. I would rather them take their time and get it right than do it now and use up all their ammunition or fuck it up somehow because people got impatient. But I get it. Trump should be in jail.
I mean, what does this guy really need to shoot somebody in the head in the middle of Fifth Avenue, like he said? Because I don't. People have gone to jail for dime bags of weed. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand how many investigations into this guy is needed to do shit that what we already know he's done.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand. This is the investigation of the century. Who are the detectives on this? Like Dumb and Dumber? What type of investigating do you need to do?
So they got him on tax fraud already, right?
Yeah, but that's the one thing he did legally.
and what's
not going to get anywhere with that? That was legal.
No, it wasn't. Not his tax fraud. They've got him several times over with that. They're trying to get all the other shit. He was found in contempt of court because he's not cooperating with the subpoena, and so he was paying $10,000 a day. So they got more than $100,000 worth of court fees from him. The problem is he's able to go out and fundraise and get people to give him money to cover those court costs. So I believe it should have been $100,000 a day, not $10,000.
Shameful. What do you make of Attorney Barr and Ivanka Trump? Their statement, Attorney Barr said that he told Donald Trump that the election fraud narrative was bullshit. Ivanka Trump said she accepted, quote unquote, what Barr had said. What are your thoughts on that?
They both backpedaled that shit as soon as they got out of the hearings. Like Ivanka is trying to get back into the, Donald Trump's will. She like posted on social media or whatever that she was basically like trying to backpedal her shit. I think everyone knows the election wasn't stolen, but the people that still believe it has become an article of faith, like believing in Jesus or the Book of Mormon or whatever. And so it doesn't matter to them what the fuck, Barr or Ivanka say. They'll just say, oh, well, something globalist agenda, something, you just want your own political career. The Democrats got to you or whatever. And there you go. Like that's all, and all Donald Trump has to do is say something along the same lines, and everyone else is going to buy into that. Like facts aren't going to get into the bubble of the people who still believe the election was stolen at this point.
You don't think so? I think the footage. I think the footage that we haven't seen before was actually more powerful than the footage that we've already seen. And 20 million people have viewed it. Even though Fox News didn't play it on their main channel, they did play it on other channels. And people tuned in to it. So there is definitely an interest in understanding better what happened that day. Whether or not this is going to produce anything, I don't think it will. Remains to be seen. I hope I'm wrong. But I don't understand how all these people are not in prison, especially the Congress people and the senators who they have documented either communicating with people that day or speaking to Trump about, like, who knew in advance that this was going to happen. And I'm thinking that one of the things that's coming out of the committee for people to understand, which is an important part of the understanding of the situation, is that this isn't like a crowd who just got crazy that day.
Right.
This was a planned, prepared, fervent, organized attack. Meticulously planned and ignited and supported by sitting members of Congress.
Yes, and they would have killed any Democrat they could have got their hands on. If they had found Nancy Pelosi or AOC, they would have raped them first, okay?
Right.
Here's why it's important that the fact that these motherfuckers knew that they ran up in Nancy Pelosi's office and they ran up in Jim Clyburn's office. Right. Jim Clyburn, one of the oldest Black members of Congress, Nancy Pelosi, everyone knows who she is. They both get a ton of fucking death threats. Jim Clyburn's office is hidden. You cannot pull up a map and find where Jim Clyburn's office is, okay? Same thing with Nancy Pelosi. Okay, right. You have to know.
They had to be pointed. They had to be given explicit directions as to where their offices are. I mean, we've been to the Capitol building. Her office isn't located next to the information desk.
Right. And the organizers of January 6th were given these like friendly tours of the Capitol building the day before by members of Congress and their staffs. Okay. That is casing a building before you walk in there and ransack it.
It's shameful. I really don't even know what the debate is at this point. No congressperson should have been subjected to that. I don't want any Republican Congress people subjected to that. I don't want anyone who's in the political realm to be getting death threats. No one should be breaking into your office and stealing your computer and shitting on your floor and then subsequently going to the parking lot and getting in their car and going home that night. Again, these people were not arrested.
Yeah, they called it Uber.
People called Ubers. They flew home.
Covered in glass and blood.
And somehow walked out of there. And I'm astounded by that. I'm astounded by that. I find that part probably the part that's most.
They went to the bars after that and were high-fiving.
People went out to dinner afterwards. Like, you know, people posted on their social media about what a successful day it was. I mean, people have no shame.
Oh yeah, half
and
of all
think
the
that
evidence.
it took days and weeks and months to find them, and that, you know, people are putting out messages on Facebook. Have you seen these people? Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Yeah. Half of all the evidence we have on these fuckers is from their own social media that they posted. The Proud Boys were made a whole documentary. They had a whole fucking documentary crew with them for this shit.
Yeah, and they straight up have that.
They printed t-shirts. They printed t-shirts, 1-6, like, 1776, 1-6 or whatever. Like, they printed t-shirts for this shit. They knew what the fuck they were doing.
People were wearing sweatshirts that said 6 million Jews weren't enough. I mean, are you kidding me right now? And we're sitting here having a debate on international television as to what happened that day and whether or not it was appropriate form of are you kidding me right now with this? Like, I think the whole thing is it's an insult to our legal system. I think it's an insult to our intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anything's going to come of it, which is the worst part about it. No one is going to prison for this.
Okay, no one going to prison or nobody changing their mind who already like believes election was
I think there's a possibility that some people may come away with a different take with the footage that's being shown now because so many people are tuning into this. But I don't think anybody who had a meaningful role in this is really going to be paying any specific price. That's like a learning lesson. This country rewards bad people. Every bad person gets a TV movie, a book deal, a mini series. We don't discard them and toss their names away, never to be repeated in history. We turn them into movie heroes and cult classics. And we give them shows and we give them magazine covers and we give them interviews. And then we act like we're all surprised that people go out into the world and do more bad things than good. I mean, if we actually highlighted the good stuff that people did, we'd probably see a lot more good stuff. But this country rewards bad people. How is that Inventing Anna chick, this bitch that fleeced half of New York elite, is doing an art show from prison? Other people can't even get a phone call. How's this woman able to put on an art exhibit? It's shameful. So, you know what? We get the society we settle for.
Yeah. There's definitely an interesting thing where I don't know if it's media theory, marketing theory, social media theory, or social media marketing theory, but the idea of using crime to sell content, because crime is a great way to get someone that no one knows who you are. All of a sudden, you're this person who's been arrested for these things. Now all these news outlets are covering you. Now you are instantly famous for your 15 minutes, and we can spin out a book deal or an art show or whatever. And so we can start cashing in on this really, really quick. It's instant clout. All you had to do was go to jail for a bit. But if you're famous and you only have to do, 18 months in jail, you're out in 6 for good behavior. You know what I mean? Same thing when it comes to white collar crime. If you do a large enough,
if you steal millions,
for a year or two, but you still have your millions tucked away somewhere, the feds get a little bit of it, but you've got all this other set away.
Right, and you get less jail time. Like if you rob a liquor store, you're going to do 10 to 20 years. If you rob millions from a bank, you could get out 3 to 5 and still have some cash laying around, and you may even get offered a job. You may even get a job offer.
Yeah. You can't manage money for the SEC, but a hedge fund will, especially a private family office. If you're demonstrated that you're talented at this shit, they'll bring you on.
So we get the society that we settle for. We make dumb, stupid, selfish, narcissistic people rich and famous, giving them the power to make decisions that affects all of us. So you know what? It is what it is. This is what we've all signed up for. We're too lazy and selfish to do anything more meaningful than what benefits us and ours. And here we are. What do we expect at this point?